President Trump has issued an extraordinary warning to Iran, threatening to blow up its power plants and bridges if it doesn't open up the Strait of Hormuz by his deadline of tomorrow. The threat, which was laden with expletives, is being interpreted by some as in breach of the rules of international law. Earlier, Mr. Trump celebrated the rescue of a US crew member who was on board a fighter jet shot down over Iran on Friday. With more, here's Joe Inwood.
Deep in Iranian territory, the remnants of a mission that Donald Trump has called miraculous. The wreckage you can see are US C-130 transport planes, which they say had to be abandoned and then destroyed. But they were there to find a US airman, missing since his jet was shot down on Friday. In the dead of night, he was successfully rescued, badly injured but alive. "We got him," President Trump wrote on social media. This is the first time in military memory that 2 US pilots have been rescued separately deep in enemy territory. "We will never leave an American warfighter behind," he wrote. The rescue seems to have taken place far further inside Iranian territory than previously suspected. The BBC has geolocated the site of the wreckage to here, just 50 kilometres from the major city of Isfahan. There had been an operation to find the missing crew underway since Friday, when their jet, an F-15E, was shot down. Iranian state TV showed these images of the wreckage, but there was no sign of either the pilot or the weapons systems officer. This was the message to local people on state TV. "If you capture an enemy pilot, you will be given a reward," the newsreader says. Local people were pictured looking for the downed airman, the equivalent of £50,000 on offer. But the US military was searching too, aided by locator beacons. Pictures emerged showing a combat rescue mission underway on Saturday, but that only recovered the pilot. If Iran could capture the other airman, who we now know was a high-ranking officer, a colonel, it would have been a propaganda coup. But he seems to have been rescued at the expense of multiple aircraft. That led Iran's military spokesman to say the US operation had been a failure, claiming they had destroyed the aircraft. However dramatic, today's rescue is a distraction from the more serious and ongoing issue of actually ending this war. Iran, still being bombed, is selectively but effectively blockading the Strait of Hormuz. That was the subject of an extraordinary, expletive-laden message from the president, who wrote, "Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah." Last week, US strikes destroyed the newly built B1 bridge, a vital crossing near the capital. A vast number of Iranian industrial sites have been hit, doing lasting damage to the economy. Donald Trump is promising worse still. He has given Iran until Tuesday to respond, or has threatened, in his words, to rain hell upon them.
Joe, it is amazing, isn't it, that we can't fully broadcast the president's statement because of such foul language, along with this very controversial threat.
Yeah, and I think it is probably important that we don't get carried away, although it's understandable why people will do, about the foul language. It is remarkable. But really, I think what we need to be focusing on here is the threat that is contained within it. He's talking about destroying the power plants, destroying the bridges of Iran, not for some military purpose, but as a negotiating tactic. And there are many, many people, including the head of Amnesty International, who have come out and said that would be a war crime. This is not destroying something for a military objective, but it's destroying it as a sort of punishment beating for the society. And if he follows through with that, there is a dangerous, dangerous Rubicon being crossed.
And Joe, meanwhile, another deadline looms for Iran. Reprisals on Tuesday, according to President Trump. What are they likely to make of that?
So the response from the Iranians has, should we say, not been to take this that seriously. They've essentially come out and said, if you do this to us, we will do something back to you. But essentially saying that Donald Trump is making dangerous escalations. Implicit in that maybe is they think he won't go through with it, or maybe they think he will do, but they will respond as well. And the Iranians will see themselves as having ways to respond, not by targeting the Americans directly necessarily, but by targeting their Gulf allies, desalination plants. if Donald Trump goes through with this threat, and if the Iranians respond in a way that they probably are still capable of doing, we will be entering a very, very dangerous phase in this war, and one that will have consequences for the entire region, maybe for generations to come.
Joe, thank you. Joe Inwood there. Well, despite President Trump's abusive threats, the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed by Iran. That's having a major impact on the global economy, as it's a vital corridor for oil, gas and a huge range of other materials, some of them critical for food production and medicine. Orla Guerin reports now from off the coast of Oman, near the entrance to the strait, where many cargo vessels have been stuck since the war broke out.
This area looks calm and peaceful, but in effect we are at the edge of a battlefield in the war in Iran. Up ahead there are cargo ships at anchor. They're at the edge of the Strait of Hormuz. Now this critical artery is normally used for 20% of the world's oil and liquefied natural gas. Well, not anymore. Since the war began, Iran has put a stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz. Only 5 or 6 ships are being allowed through every day, in contrast to about 130 before the war. This waterway is now a weapon in the hands of Tehran, perhaps the most powerful weapon they have. By leaving ships stranded here, Iran is reducing the global supply of oil, it's creating shortages, it's driving up prices, it's creating fear among consumers and pressure in the international community. This is about as close as we can get. There are restrictions imposed by the authorities here in Oman, and there are also risks with trying to pass through the strait. Ships that are on that waterway can come under attack from Iranian drones and missiles. There are concerns too about mines in the water. And looking out at this exposed area of open sea, the idea of any kind of force, American or international, coming to try to take control of the strait, well, you can see how difficult, if not impossible, that would be. We've been sailing along the coast here for a few hours now, and normally at this time of year you would see boats full of tourists coming to see the dolphins in the water here. They're a popular tourist attraction. Well, today we've seen plenty of dolphins, but almost no tourists. There's a dramatic impact, not just on the economy here in Oman, but across the Gulf and across the wider region and the world. This war is bringing a great deal of economic pain, and Iran is hoping it can use that pain to push Donald Trump towards a settlement.
And that was our senior international correspondent, Orla Guerin, reporting there from the Strait of Hormuz.